What follows is yours for free, but do have a look at all the other things we do on patreon.com/word in your ear. And now, on with the show.
Delighted to be joined for another word down your way by Suzanne Vega. Suzanne, where are you, in New York?
I'm in New York, yes.
And in February, you're coming to the UK.
Yeah.
Starting on Saturday the 11th, Bexhill, Basingstoke, Ipswich, Northampton, Buxton, Gateshead, Edinburgh, Manchester, York, Cambridge, Bath, Cardiff, Leicester, and culminating, if we can say that, in London Festival Hall on March the 2nd. So can you remember the first live show you went to as a member of the audience?
Yeah, it was very memorable, actually. It was Lou Reed in 1979. Technically, I had gone to one previously, but it was more as a chaperone for my sister who wanted to see Billy Joel at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, right.
But I don't really count that one. I count the show, the Lou Reed show at Columbia University was my first time actually seeing a show from the audience.
So what was your first time performing? Can you remember that? Is that burned in your memory, your first live performance yourself?
Yeah, very clear. It was with Pete Seeger at Carnegie Hall. I was 12 years old. He came to my school, which was a progressive sort of hippie school. He wanted to do a benefit for several schools, and he was looking for children to sit at his feet and sing sort of atmospherically. So I was determined, and I got right up into his face and sang Guantanamera, and I was one of the children chosen. I mean, actually, all the children were chosen to sit at his feet. But that was my first time actually performing.
So Carnegie Hall was the first time you performed? Because
Yes.
the old joke is, how do I get to Carnegie Hall, isn't it? You practice, 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 whereas you did it the other way around.
Yeah, I did it the other way around. I was chosen, I went. That was the beginning for me.
Right. So when you sort of perform in your own right, did you think straight away, I take to this, I like being on stage in front of people?
I had mixed feelings because I loved the stage. And I loved the stage from the moment I saw a stage, which was, I think I was about 4 years old. And I thought, I like that floor with the light on it, you know. But it took a while to overcome inhibitions and being shy. I was actually studying dance at the High School of Performing Arts. And I loved that. I loved moving on stage, sort of non-verbally. But once I started writing songs, then I had to teach myself how to sing in front of an audience and how to tell stories, how to engage an audience.
Right, yeah. So what did you learn about how to engage an audience? Because it's a thing that a lot of musicians never entirely conquer, isn't it? You know, that business of just how to speak to people in between songs. That's always come quite naturally to you.
It has not. It just looks that way. A show that I had done, and this is an interesting story. When I was 16 years old, I did a show in a jazz club in New York City with the famous bass player Richard Davis. Richard Davis played on, with the guy who did Astral Weeks.
Van Morrison.
Yeah, Van Morrison.
Was he in the Modern Jazz Quartet?
I don't know Richard Davis's complete history, but he was doing a show and he allowed me to come up and sing in between his sets at the Tin Palace, which was this jazz club. And I had only had about 5 or 6 songs at that point. And he gave me some pointers. And he said, one of the things he said was, you should learn to, he said, your songwriting is really excellent. You have really good form. He said, A, you should learn to read music, which I never did. And B, you need to learn to talk to an audience because people like to be spoken to. So I had that in my mind already. But it took me years of performing at Folk City to really get the gist of what to say, how to talk, what stories to tell, what stories not to tell. This was a trial and error for years. It's part of the folk tradition, really, to tell stories.
I suppose it is, but he's quite right. People just like to be spoken to, don't they? It's a natural human thing, isn't it? You've turned up in the audience, you'd like to be recognized.
Yeah, exactly. And especially some of the songs that I've written they would be difficult to know what they're about unless I explain a little bit. Because for a while I was like, no, I'm an artist. I don't need to talk to anybody. And those shows were not very good. Everyone just sort of got quieter and quieter. And just to say the atmosphere wasn't there.
Right. Can you remember the first time you came to the UK and performed in the UK?
Yeah, vividly. I performed, I think my first show was at the Ellis, the London School of Economics.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, and I was very excited. I knew that Mick Jagger had gone there. There was a small auditorium of about 300. Weirdly, I had just come from France and my entire wardrobe had just been stolen out of the taxi. So I was wearing my boyfriend's T-shirt and the one jacket that I had. So it was all very weird. But I remember the audience was very excited. The first album had just come out or was just about to be released. So that was my first show in the UK.
And how did you find them different from audiences at home, or did you not find them different?
Well, New York is a hell of a place to cut your teeth as a performer because they will spit you up, chew you up and spit you out if they don't like you. So, I had my years in New York where I did well and other years where I didn't do so well. And again, I had to really work it. So by the time I got to England, the UK audiences just seemed wonderful. They were so enthusiastic and we were still on the verge of the new wave scene and the punk thing that was going on. So from time to time, you'd have people like moshing or rolling on the floor to like Small Blue Thing, which was, I was like, okay, great. I'm going to sing and play no matter what's going on in the audience. But so there was still a bit of that thing. So, and that was probably the main difference between London and New York is there was no moshing in New York.
So what kind of show are you going to be doing in the UK this time?
It's me on guitar and vocals. I've got my guitar player and musical director, Jerry Leonard, with me. He plays guitar. He was David Bowie's musical director in his final years. So he's got a huge range. He's Irish. He's from Dublin. His name is Jerry Leonard. And so he does a lot of production. So we do very folky songs like Gypsy, but we can also do other more produced sounds as well. I do old songs. I do new songs. I do the songs everybody knows, like Luca and Tom's Diner. And then I try and also do songs from, the deeper cuts from various albums. So it's a nice arc of music.
How do you feel? You talk about your better known songs. How do you feel about those? I mean, I was listening to the James Taylor song where he sings about people who pay good money to hear Fire and Rain again and again and again.
Well, I've got no complaints. I mean, I will sing Luca until I die, and I'll sing Tom's Diner as well. I mean, for different reasons. Luca is a very deep song that has a lot of meaning to a lot of people. And it has meaning to older people, but also younger people who have just discovered it and know what it's about. It's a song about child abuse, which unfortunately has not gone away. So it's a song with a lot of meaning to me, and I sing it very sincerely each time. And then Tom's Diner has turned from this kind of quiet song about alienation at breakfast to being this wild dance party thing where some people dance, some people sing along. Everybody has memories of the 90s and what they were doing in the 90s when it was a big hit. So I love it, and I still do it very happily.
So how do you prepare for a tour like this? Do you go into a rehearsal space or anything like that, or do you just turn up and do it? How does it work?
No, Jerry, Jerry books a rehearsal space and he kind of, corrals me into it. And says, no, we're going to do this now.
Right.
So he's great. And he makes sure there's snacks and there's cups of tea so that, we're all happy to be there and do it. But I don't just show up anymore. I rehearse at least 1 or 2 days and we stay in shape. I mean, I just did 4 shows at the City Winery over the holidays. The show was called Home for the Holidays. And so we just did 4 nights there. It did really well. And so it'll be a bit like that, maybe with a tweak here or there.
So you're talking about Jerry's part in this. It's very important to have somebody stand there at rehearsal go, no, you shouldn't do that there, you should do it there. Or is it important to have somebody to just bounce off?
I have found it very important. I've always had a musical director, and I've always had really good ones. Jerry's pretty terrific because we know each other very well, so he knows what techniques work with me and what just don't. So he knows the carrot is better than the stick, it's vital to have snacks and cups of tea to keep us all going.
Snacks are the important thing. So, do you have any superstitions about appearing live? Is there anything you have to do, or do you have to leave the dressing room in a certain way? I was just interested because athletes frequently have those kind of superstitions. You don't have those?
Not anymore. I think when I had the big Luca tour, we sort of would get together in a little ring and do some sort of shouty thing. And we've stopped doing that now. No, so there's things I like to do. I mean, now I put on my makeup. I do a vocal warm up, which is kind of a new thing for me. I like to sometimes, since I'm a Buddhist, I like to do a prayer before. But if I miss it, I do it after. It's not a big deal. And I try to eat 2 hours beforehand. So those are things I'd like to do, but I don't have any particular superstition.
Right. What do you think, anybody who hasn't seen you might be thinking of going to this tour, what do you think might surprise people about what you do or about what happens at a Suzanne Vega show?
Yeah, I think that people are surprised by the more... we start the show very folky but then it sort of morphs into a different kind of show. I put down the guitar and we start to explore some of the newer songs. There's a little more rock and roll than people might expect from me. It's nothing that people haven't heard on the albums. I've done a song, Blood Makes Noise from 99.9. We can do that. We do that live and it's really good. And so there's a lot of energy and there's a lot more moving around than people might associate with me.
All right. So finally, can you said Lou Reed was the first show you ever went to. What was the best one you ever went to?
I've been to some really great ones. I mean, the one that springs to my mind is, I don't know if you do know Stan Ridgway.
Oh, yeah, right. Yes.
Yeah, he had a band called Wall of Voodoo. And I saw him at the Bottom Line. And it was great. It was so great. He was so funny and so inventive. And when he had a song called Calling Out to Carol, and he used the microphone as a kind of telephone. And he just was totally free and uninhibited. And I really was, I was knocked out flat. And that was, it was about 30 years ago. Peter Gabriel, I think, has done some great shows. I've seen him do some great ones too.
Oh, well, look, thanks very much for talking to us. And so Suzanne Vega in the UK tour starts on Saturday the 11th of February at Bexhill and then goes through to March the 2nd at the Festival Hall. And, what can we say but good luck with the tour?
Thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.